Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back officially with the old school version going solo here. Jay Foreman. We are brought to you by the Mercado, Certified Piedmontese, Special Ingredients, a butcher shop located at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, 85th and Old Cheney, and 168th in Maple. Also 85th and Old Cheney / Andermatt. I can never forget that because I always like to slide in one of my favorite street names in Lincoln, even though there's a lot of streets in Lincoln that are getting blasted with reconstruction. Be safe out there because I know there was a big accident or big accidents yesterday and even one, I think, this morning. We are actually having a pretty cool show today and for the rest of the week as to combine with On the Block. I think my dad, Chuck Foreman, is going to or had called in for a good 20, 30-minute segment. But I'm going to dive into the big ruling. Obviously, the NCAA is essentially in the Cliff Notes version has went through with revenue sharing and allowed colleges to pay athletes and make contracts. And what does that really mean? Nobody really knows, but what it could mean and what it does mean on the surface, that if by chance they're recruiting a 4 or 5 star recruit, 3-star recruit, you can sign them to a contract. That means that there will be potentially buyouts. There will be potentially escalator clauses in there. And they could get ugly because you got to make sure, number one, I'm just going to talk about from the player standpoint. Now your freedom of walking into coach's office, NIL office, offices, or agents contacting whoever they may be, and every 6 months having the option to go back into the portal and to continue to get paid for I call it a convenience fee or a stay fee. When your production maybe haven't warranted, but the situation has, and the market maybe has overvalued your position in this world of college football, that probably will be minimalized. There will be potentially still third-party collectives, and that will where you'll be able to maybe pay some players that you maybe wouldn't want to pay, like I guess on the school's book. So it's going to be interesting, that accounting. There will be some bookkeeping per se. And the big story is, like, if there's a fourth team quarterback that's getting paid like $4 million from the local dealership, obviously that's not going to be passed through I think it's Duet that's going to be doing all the, I guess, overseeing. So essentially I think it's Duet is going to be essentially the NFLPA and the NFL. If you remember the contracts that are done, not only for rookies, but any free agent contract or any rookie contract or any extension, it has to go through proper channels at the league offices. That's at the league side and then also the NFLPA side. So what that does is it protects yourself against the quote unquote Ricky Williams clause, where the New Orleans Saints essentially sold their soul for Ricky Williams, and Ricky Williams had I think Master P in his agency, which I think they, tried to do a good job, but didn't have the NFL experience to sign Ricky to a very player-friendly contract. And so it's to protect both sides. And so the protection needs to be there, even though the contracts are there. I think it could, in theory, slow down the transfer portal. In reality, I think it won't. I think it will be a short time of slow progress or slow movement as far as the portal goes. But then I think the agents and the people, the power brokers and the behind the scene guys will find ways to get guys to move, and then obviously find ways to maybe squirm the way out of contracts if they want to get out bad enough. I think, the one analogy I could give it to you is when you rent an apartment and say you don't get, say you want to move and you don't get transferred for a job, there's always a way to essentially long play, slow play, short play. And then obviously based on the market, you can get out of your lease. And so I think that's the way it is. I think these players are now going to be leased, and the lease is going to be 2 to 3 year contracts, 2 years with a player or a team option. And it'll be really, really interesting to see, the first team, the first player that signs with the university. And I'm going to tell you this, when you saw a lot of movement in the transfer portal this year, I think there's two things that got it moving. Number one, it was the I guess the potential or the thought that it was going to go down to 105. That was huge. I think guys jumped in the portal early because they wanted to get in your spot and make sure you were secured, not only with your spot on the team, but with your NIL deal. If you warranted another deal or a potential or a bigger, NIL package. But then also, I think, with the agents out here now, there's a lot more agents out here that you don't have to be quote unquote NFL certified or NCAA certified, which I hope they eventually will do. Because the big reason why you have more agents, I could be an agent, you could be an agent, anybody listening could be an agent that anybody, is that they're charging these players anywhere from 20 to 25%. And so if you get a player that's making $1 million, that's $250,000. Now, if you look at it for a player in the NFL that's coming out and gets a 3-year contract or a 1-year contract for $1 million, you get 3%. And sometimes if you're a high enough draft choice, you heard, I think, for big time players, remember when Peyton Manning or somebody like that, Tom Condon and those guys will go down to 1.5% or sometimes 1%. And so the difference of, on just on the surface of $250,000 or $200,000 to $250,000 over $1 million of NIL money versus, 3% is 30. And so you have a lot more agents out there. And so I think this new landscape of the transfer portal and everything is going to be really, really interesting based on to see who's going to be, I won't say the guinea pigs, but the first one to jump out there and really sign with a university, a contract based on the ruling that just came down officially yesterday. I think it's going to be, continue to move, especially from a university standpoint, where they stand, what they want to do to make sure they're protected, because, they have the revenue sharing. They have other Olympic sports that I'm going to get into that potentially are probably going to have to move down to club sports. How does that have a bigger effect outside of just college sports? And I will get into that. And then also they want to make sure that they get what they paid for, right? And I think everybody has came to the conclusion that college players, not all of them, majority of them are just getting scholarship money. And then obviously with the 105, I think every kid can be on scholarship. Not every school will have 105 guys on scholarship, and you can kind of move and shake with that as well. I think everybody's came to terms slowly but surely, but then obviously welcomed it now that every college player is going to get paid, because now the fans all say, well, we just need to raise a whole bunch of money and we need to go buy a team. It doesn't necessarily work like that. It's generally the haves and have-nots. That's the difference between the way college football is now and where it's going in the NFL. Everybody in the NFL in that locker room is paid handsomely, even all the way down potentially to the practice squad guys, which essentially would be walk-ons. Even the guys that are, first or second year rookies are getting handsomely paid well, probably at a higher rate than majority of NIL deals on a year-to-year basis. If you count, like I was a late 5th round draft choice, what the market is now just coming out of the draft, along with the signing bonus, just for that first year, I think they're probably making as much or more than majority of people are making in big NIL deals. And so when you look at it, it's not apples to apples. It's kind of like a farm system for it, and it has to be shaped. It has to be formed. You could probably call and ask the NFL how to get this thing going and hopefully, survive and then eventually progress, because that revenue sharing is going to continue to go up and go up and go up. And the players are going to get to the point that they're going to be reaping anywhere from 45 to 50% of the total revenue. And this is how they're going to get to it. If you think of, say, Nebraska has 105 players all on scholarship, right? You got scholarship money. They got a ton of more scholarship money than I ever got. You got Husker Bucks and all this other stuff. And say part of it just in your NIL deal, they give you rent and all this other stuff, but not a big check. And say you get $3,000 a month, that's $36,000. Then you throw in the 20.5 million, whatever your share is for the football team. Then it goes up to say 20, let's say just 22 million. And then say it maxes out at somewhere at 25 million by the time you get done after your 4 years in college, right? 3 or 4 years in college. Overall, the players, if you count the scholarships and all the benefits and all that other stuff that they get, just as I call the Mr. T starter kit, at the end, it will be close to 50%. And that's what the part of the lawsuit was, obviously based on. And then obviously, in the tricky part is what'll be interesting in the future. I know 2016 was the year that everybody's going to be able to go back and get paid. I have a sneaky feeling all the way back to for sure, hopefully 1994, guys could go and get paid something and put something aside. And now if I was a university, I'd probably be ahead of the curve, sign some sort of deal where guys get some sort of stipend. And so therefore, when the ruling does come down, you're not stuck, with, your empty pockets. You kind of already even it, hey, take this now. Maybe a little bit less. That's what it's forecasted. And you're going to have to do some obviously tricky accounting and get some engineers that know numbers like no other. And, factor in past lost wages, inflation, time, but then also time that you can get paid earlier versus later. And so there's a lot of like tentacles that are coming off of this ruling, both from the player side and then obviously from the university side. And so now you do have potentially a true partnership. And if you really want to dive into it, how does it affect Nebraska? I think it could really help out a school like Nebraska and a coach like Matt Rule and coaches that have coaches or assistant coaches or advisors or consultants that have NFL experience. And that's also recent and past. And here's why. This is an NFL game. So whoever is first in line, first around that corner, it's almost like running the 400 in your 4x1 relay. So now everybody is in that first curve and everybody's about even. So now your second and third leg is where you really, really, really want to gain some ground on your opponents that you're trying to catch or you're trying to run away from. And how do you do that? One, you want to have experience on how to spend wisely and have some sort of system to measure production and versus your, return on your investment, right? And what fits for you, what fits for your team, what fits for your program, what fits for your players that you're recruiting, both in high school, transfer portal, JUCO, and so forth and so on. And you want to make sure you're very efficient with that. And that might change every 6 months or every season, but you want to make sure you have a Trump type plan on what you want to do. And then also have a contingency plan if it doesn't work out, because you never want to be stuck, like I say, stuck on stupid, that you don't know what you're doing next, because it never generally works out the way you want it. That's how you win that second leg. That's when you're thinking of, okay, if where Nebraska's at, say you're anywhere right now from 5 to 8 to 9 in the Big Ten preseason rankings. And just say if you think like, okay, let's just say worst case scenario, because I always like to, minimize promises and over deliver. So you're 8 and 9. So how can I get to 6 right away? Talent being equal, efficiency in how we're going about our process and evaluating players, and also making sure we're able to adjust our process based on each individual player, but then also how college football has changed changing, because let's not forget these rulings down in the future will change, which then will make you change how you go about your day-to-day business. That's how you win that second leg. The third leg, which is probably probably the most important, if you look at this 4x1 relay, is that you want to make sure that your day-to-day process, who you are, who your coaches are, who your assistant coaches are, who you have around your program, I guess even your former players, alumni, all are pushing in the right direction for the betterment of the players on the team, that therefore you can have some instant return on investment, right? Unique ideas to sell Nebraska, to win a recruiting battle for Jay Foreman, to get me to come here and say, like, say my dad worked for a real estate company, that you want to start to provide things outside of the contracts and NIL to make it appealing to certain players. Then you're able to get them in your program in a contract, really develop them, and then obviously start to be like kind of Michigan State was, groom some guys along with your star players, so you're reloading and not rebuilding. And this is where I really think it helps out Nebraska, because I know there's been a lot of talk about Iowa State coming in and getting some of our players. I think now it could be a point that we can take some chances on guys lower in the roster with maybe a minimal contract with an escalator on it, based on where you get in year 2, 3, renegotiate it. We get the best year 3 or 4 out of you. Then you're starting to go back to old school recruiting where you took a chance on a Jay Foreman that came in skinny, really needed to get in the weight program, was all about football, but just needed to develop physically and obviously mentally, and then was able to take advantage of an instant opportunity, and the rest is history. And now I'm sitting in front of you right now after playing 9-10 years in the NFL, or 8 or 9 years, in the NFL, and able to kind of look back on my process. It's like, man, football will never be the same, but it is the same now, or potentially could be the same with this new ruling at some places that have and recreate that homegrown want to play for Nebraska. Guys come here from all around the country, learn what it means to be a Nebraska player, keep guys here, understanding it's not just a 3 or 4 year decision. It's a 30 or 40 year decision. And then therefore you're making up ground. That's how you take the serious lead going in to that final leg of this 4x1 relay. And then how do you finish it, right? The Usain Bolts and all that stuff, or the Carl Lewis's that I grew up and was blessed to watch in the 4x1 relay. That leads to consistent production on the field. That is backed up by the fan support, the financial support of the athletic department, the aura of Nebraska's back, the blue blood, and all the benefits that come with it, both short and long term. Then you start to put more guys at the next level. Then you start to become the it place to be. Then you don't have to worry about weather. Then you don't have to worry about location. And then the cherry on top is the Big Red Project. Then it's all that stuff that you heard about before and didn't maybe come to fruition right away, start to pay dividends tenfold. That's how you start to be up in the top 6, say, in recruiting. Then when you have this great 7-on-7 tournament that you have, and sealed off with a championship game, and have the likes of Cam Newton, and obviously Trey Taylor was, doing some recruiting, and Dylan Raiola was there and all that stuff. Then it's the place to be to bring your 7-on-7 guys, and then obviously getting 200 or 300 of unofficial visits and start to really use it as a recruiting tool. And then people can't catch up because you're 2 or 3 legs ahead. And that's the best way that you can really, really look at it. Because if you just look at it very short term and say, you know what, it's like everybody's had, kids that might, spaz out a little bit and say, okay, I'm going to get them to be quiet by just throwing some money at them, buy them a new toy, get them some ice cream or something like that. That's just like the sense of, okay, well, let's go round up a whole bunch of money and throw it at a bunch of guys that don't want to be here. And then therefore, they'll find ways to get out of it, because, there's always a way potentially to get out of a contract. They might not come here unless you pay them a whole bunch of money, and then they can get out of the contract after a year. So essentially you're on the hope that they start to dive into what I talked about in the analogy of the second and third leg. But if you do the things that potentially, like, I don't have all the answers, but this is the way I'm looking at it, then that's where I think Nebraska is able to be really, really efficient. I think this ruling right here was probably something they thought was going to be coming down all the way back in March, even like at the end of the Super Bowl. Here we are in June, right before, or a month or 2, 6 weeks, I guess, a month and a half before training camps really were open, or fall camps really open. It was generally what happens. And if you go back to when NIL first started, I think it was July 1st or something like that. You saw players, it should be really, really cool to have a 30 for 30 for players to go back and really, really look at some of the tweets. Hey, I'm Jay Foreman. I'm open for any NIL opportunities. Feel free to contact me at whatever email. Versus now, players have agents. They have agents of agents. They have a marketing agent. They have an NIL agent. They have a social media agent. And then they're really, really making a lot of money off the field, or on and off the field, on and off the court, tenfold in just a very few years after it just came down from there. So it was right around the same time, gives players, universities, and coaches not a lot of time to really adjust, which is good in the sense of, what's coming, here it is. If I'm a coach, I'm having a meeting about it with everything that I know. You could use your time wisely, but once we kick off fall camp, all that stuff has to cease, because my best NIL deal or negotiating power is for me to play well. My best, I guess, negotiation for coaches and assistant coaches and consultants and all that is for the players to play well and our team wins. So in order for that to happen, the focus has to shift from fun time, celebration time, to money time. And money time isn't getting money in your pocket because the money will already be there. A lot of the players, I think, already have NIL deals, and so they have to probably go back, and it's going to be big, probably come after the season to really re-up those deals. And I don't know if it's been a factor or if it's more beneficial for players to stay in their deals now. I think this probably is, and they're grandfathered in, or is this only for new and upcoming players that are getting recruited? A lot to dive through, man. This is huge and it's crazy. But I think it's good for both sides. But then also I think the universities like it because I think they'll be able to hold on to some players a little bit longer. Then therefore the coaches can really, really not be, hey, I only can coach who's, I know you're scared that guys are going to leave after 6 months. Now you know that at least they'll be around for a couple of years. Now when you're really putting a lot of time in the guys, they'll at least have them for a couple of years if they're, able to get a contract through the university. So you can really, really build a foundation of your team. And then you really got to make hay with your collective evaluation process, efficiency in how you play players, evaluate players, and then how you continue to progress in this thing called the Big Ten and major college football as it moves forward. We're going to take a quick break, come back. I'm going to talk about the people they indirectly get affected with this. And that's Olympic sports and where I could see that going. And it's going to be on a university, basis, and it's going to be a choice. But eventually, where I could see it going, Jay Foreman, Old School.
Now's the best time to lock in early order savings on a new John Deere planter from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Plant for success with the latest technology, including Exact Emerge high-speed planters that help you cover more acres with greater precision and productivity. Order your planter for next year now to unlock the biggest savings of the season. Contact your local Landmark location today and experience the Landmark difference.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law Group and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
Safety is always at the top of mind at Lincoln Electric System. The safety of our employees and the safety of our customers. It's National Safety Month. Visit les.com/safety for tips on all things related to electrical safety. If you're working in your yard, remember never to place landscaping, structures, and fences too close to above-ground electrical equipment. It's unsafe and could cost you financially. Visit les.com for a complete fence and landscaping installation guide.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Fairway has fresh cut meats, seafood, cheese, wine, and spirits, and a friendly staff that's always ready to help you find what you need. Stop by Fairway Meat Market today to plan your weekly meals in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Muchachos has been serving Lincoln delicious pork, brisket, and chicken tacos for several years now, as well as Hatchmack, nachos, and more. Muchachos also brings you close to the taste buds of your favorite local college athletes with NIL deals like the B3 burrito for Bella Bacon of Nebraska softball and many more. See a variety of different NIL options at Muchachos at 11th and K, or order online at yomuchacho.com. Open 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back once again. Jay Foreman, special Old School edition here, brought to you by the Mercado Certified Piedmontese Special Grease Butcher Shop. I mentioned going into the break that there's always indirect collateral damage, and sometimes that's life, in any decision that's made. And obviously with money being a big factor, and it's been delayed, and I think it's only been, really, really short-sighted thinking about the big sports, March Madness, football, obviously women's volleyball, even, women's basketball now with Caitlin Clark, and you could throw baseball in because we got CWS coming out next week. Make sure you turn into 93.7 The Ticket because we'll have great coverage like we always do up there at the College World Series all week long. And plenty of prizes and plenty of special guests as well. But there always is indirect collateral damage when big decisions are made. And that's what sucks about these decisions, because I don't think they're ever thought wholly. And I think when you're pressed into a corner, which it's the NCAA's fault, they've been for decades been fighting this and obviously making money hand over fist. So they had to make a decision. And essentially, it was fight or flight. So they, put it in other people's hands. They made a decision. But when you think about it, it's all the non-revenue generating sports. You think of, what the interesting fact here is, like, Nebraska women's soccer team has had the same coach since I've been here. The Olympic sports, Nebraska's track is Olympic athletes, great tradition in winning. Even back when I was, just getting here, Big 8 titles, Big 12 titles, Big 10 competitors, both in men and women's. And you got to think, bowling has been dominant. All these sports, women's softball, even men's, even baseball, potentially could be affected by this, both in the short term and long term. Now, where each university goes, whether it's based on the Big 10 or what conference you're in, or by school basis, and where you decide to divvy up your revenue, could start year one could be drastically different than year three. And so let's just look at year three. Just say football starts to take off. Power conferences are starting to form, or it's out there that it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's just when. Well, then you have to think, okay, now we might have to start cutting sports from our revenue sharing. where does that send them? Potentially the club, right? I didn't even know Nebraska had a club hockey team. So now all these Olympic sports, which I mentioned track and all that stuff, go to club sports. Now, I guess the compromise could be they could still be on scholarship, but they won't be revenue in the revenue sharing. I don't know how that happens. I'm just saying hopefully. But who gets hurt in this? Here's who gets hurt with the Olympics. The Olympics, as you know, for obviously let's take track and field. There is no NFL for track and field. Well, there is if you get to the pros, but in order to get ready for the Olympics, wrestling, right? With Mark Manning, the dominance that he's been able to come in and build up this program, with Jordan Burroughs and all the guys that he's had, national champions, and making it a formidable program. You got to think about them, right? You got to think the explosion of women's wrestling, and then going to Olympic sport. So this is the college is where the breeding ground is. That's where you become champion to go on to Olympic gold, to Olympic silver, to Olympic bronze, to make an Olympic team. You got to think, obviously, Nebraska volleyball has been, really, really good for years ago, but for years and years and years, all the way back in 1994 94 to 98 when I was here, they winning championships. And obviously John Cook and is done really well and winning championships in his tenure. And then obviously, we'll see where they go from here, which I think is going to be complete dominance, moving forward. But you got to think we had a ton of Olympic athletes. How do you get noticed? Yes, you can go overseas and it's not very spectacular over there. You're getting paid, but the living conditions aren't there. Your friends and family can't see you. Obviously, we have professional volleyball here in Nebraska and have great teams in 2 leagues that potentially could go down to 1, but it's all predicated on college volleyball. The explosion of college volleyball over the last 5 to 10 years, probably primarily in the last 5 years, Nebraska has spearheaded that. Where does that go? Okay, maybe Nebraska is going to continue to dominate in that realm. What about all the other teams? Is it going to be just a super league of, that's part of the revenue sharing if it's a priority to your school? Okay, well then what happens to all the other good volleyball players that need an opportunity to go to schools? There's nowhere to go as far as going out of high school to the professional ranks and being skillful or as skilled to compete or play. So now you're going to have all these athletes out here with potentially nowhere to go based on obviously TV contract and revenue sharing. And obviously this big ruling, that came out yesterday. Everybody's excited about that because the football players and all is about to be football season. And then everybody can go in there, potentially do contracts, and think about all the guys that you can recruit, that you've been recruiting, you can get under contract for more than 1 year, but you're not thinking about everybody else. And it's not necessarily the present or near future athlete's job to take any less. They've taken less for decades. It's up to potentially the NCAA again, or potentially the government in conjunction with the NCAA to come in and make it right for all these other sports that really contributed to the NCAA's kind of gray area or smokescreen of student athletes, right? Wherever you're at. And you can even think of like on the East Coast, lacrosse. I mean, it's one of the things I used to always enjoy watching on ESPN, the lacrosse championships with John Hopkins and Georgetown, obviously North Carolina being in there. You think about the explosion of women's soccer from North Carolina from years in the past that was really, really good. And obviously went on to Olympic gold. All those players, where did they come from? From different schools, from Florida, North Carolina, and all that stuff. And where these different personalities come from. Now it could all be gone because college sports and those non-revenue generating sports are not very high revenue generating sports, which I don't know all that information, but just on the assumption could be cast to the side. And so that's where people don't look at the collateral damage, the indirect effect in a negative way out of this ruling. Yes, I'm happy for all the players to potentially go in and get contracts. I'm happy for the university to be able to lock guys in and be able to really give have some sort of, I guess, restless nights that you're going to have guys under contract and there is some obligation. It's a true partnership. But then also I know that there's other people that I know that have done really well and other sports that weren't necessarily revenue generating sports that had, great careers and better careers than I had in my profession. One I always think about is Darren Erstad. He was a great punter that could have went to the NFL to punt. He was a great athlete, went number 1 in baseball. Just think if that was going on back then. Now, sure, Grant or Darren Erstad, I like to think is was so talented, he would have went number one or got drafted really high, no matter if he played at the University of Nebraska at 10 buck too. But just think for from starting from when he played and then shortly after, how good you got to think for Alex Gordon, all those guys saw Darren do it first and knew that Nebraska was a place you could go and be competitive in a powerhouse in baseball. We've won Big Ten championships just recently. So now when you think all those sports and all those players and all those, great times, and just a week and a half ago, we just sealed the deal on a Big Ten championship up there in Omaha when nobody thought we could do it after we kind of stubbed our toe a few times during the regular season. That could be at a club level, or it could force teams to make a decision backed into a corner. And those are the things I don't think people really look at or really understand when these type of decisions are made, and how it could affect not only, I guess, football, basketball, and whatever sport that is in your top 3 or 4 at your university. Some schools like Ohio State, I think they offer like dang near 22 sports. They have decisions to make. Everybody, you got money, right? But everybody has to make decisions with that money. Yes, you hear about Texas Tech, able to, sign a great pitcher in softball to $1 million a year. What are they going to do? Is that really going to be worth it in 3 or 4 years? And when you're not maybe competitive like you'd like in the Big 12, or getting the national attention you'd like in the Big 12, no matter what you're doing in the NIL, transfer portal, contract era of this whole shakedown that happened yesterday. And so it's interesting to see the reaction from it. I think everybody's still like surprised that we actually had a somewhat black and white decision, because for me, I'm going to tell you this, it's almost like waiting on Aaron Rodgers to sign somewhere in free agency. Now I know Aaron Rodgers, I guess he got married, but in every free agent decision that he had, it's always so long you kind of forget about it. It loses a little bit of luster if he makes a decision. Then he makes a decision, you're like, oh, ho hum. And I think a lot of people have a wide variety of emotions. One, somewhat excited, ho hum, and looking at all the loopholes and what's really coming next. And the last one is interesting here before we go to break, is because just look at college football. Look, you went to, we had to beg and scratch to get 4 teams. And then after year 2 of 4 teams, we knew 12 was coming. It was just a matter of when. They were meeting to have meetings to let you know they met, to let you know that possibly 12 was coming down the pipe. We got 12. And I think within 2 months, you started hearing the number 16. 16 now is floated. Now, once 16 comes, then it's going to be 28. Then you're going to say, you know what, we're just going to have a full year of European soccer, of regulation and deregulation league, the haves and have-nots, based on what your TV contract will be, based on how you do things. And so I'll tell you, you heard it here first, but that's where I think it's going. It's going to be constant change and constant movement. And so that's where I think a lot of people are a little bit turned off. There isn't a lot of factual evidence, except for universities are now able to sign contracts with players. And to be honest with you, I guess I'll jump right in from a player standpoint. If I have a contract that I'm making, I don't know, $2 million or whatever it is, or say 200,000, and I don't have any contract or any obligation to the university, and they're going to pay me 200,000, and I'm still going to go play good, why would I sign a contract that potentially they could take money away, or they force a team that I might want to go to, if it's a better situation, or I get my feelings hurt, or whatever it may be, or I have to pay a buyout, or they have to pay a buyout. That's the first thought. Here's the other side to that coin. What does happen in a lot of places, which you never hear about it, and I'm wondering why you don't, is especially down in the SEC, they could sign you, just say, for that $200,000 a year contract. You get there and you're not all that they thought you were, or there's other players that they brought in end up being as good as you, or the players on their roster are just a little bit more familiar, and then they start to reduce your salary based on like you get paid $5,000 one month, they're like, well, you know what, you're actually a $3,000 type of player, and that's what we're going to pay you. That does happen. So from that perspective, I would actually welcome a contract. Therefore, you're obligated to pay me what is on black and white. And the only way you don't play me is if I leave. I like that a little bit. I like a little bit of a partnership. I do like a little bit of accountability. I think it works both ways, and it'll be interesting how that language is put into those contracts. Because I will tell you this: if you go back to even just last year in the NFL, Dallas Cowboys, you hear about it. I remember a couple of years ago, the Pittsburgh Pirates were a player who got called up, only needed a couple at bats or something, and they sat him down for 4 or 5 games. Cooper Rush for the Dallas Cowboys needed another start for $500,000 bonus. He ended up being inactive. There's, the New England Patriots were notorious for knowing where guys were sitting incentives wise late in the season, even when they were making Super Bowl runs. All of a sudden you're inactive and you don't hit your bonuses or your incentives. That's what's going to be interesting, who protects the players from the business side that has nothing to do with play on the field. Now, if it's just a straight contract, as long as you're here and you keep your nose clean, you shut up and show up, or just show up and show out. Let's say that. I don't like the shut up and play thing. Show up and show out, and you get paid, and then you're here for that many years, that's fine. But what happens when a team thinks your skills have diminished, or you're not really that good, or you're not living up to the play on the field? How is that renegotiated? How is that evaluated? And how are the players and the teams protected? Because very easily you could get like for me, all right, I'll tell you this real quick. So I imagine I was probably a middle of the road 3-star recruit or 3-star recruit. So if I came in, I redshirted for a year, so I didn't get any NIL money. Say I had a scholarship and I was getting maybe just some spending money. And say I had a player option. I start the first year. Okay, I'm starting. I am a starter. Well, what is that worth moving forward after we win back-to-back national championships? Then do you continue to be like to rotate with the player? Or do I go and say, you know what, I'm the starter, pay me like a starter. Since you're paying me like a starter, you're going to play me like a starter. That's the NFL point. You see a lot of players playing based on their contract. That's where guys are able to really dictate when they get to play. If you see guys that start off slow during the NFL season, they know they're not going to get benched. You want to know why? Because the contract says they're going to be out there no matter what the late round draft choice, the free agent guy does. They're going to sink or swim until the light comes on. And that's where you see a lot of veterans turn it on late in the season, because they know they're playing for the next year in the present contract or a new contract in free agency. It's a very, very tricky game that you have to play. So that's where you got to have a really good and skilled and experienced agent. You also have to be a really, really good, smart and savvy player. And then for the teams and the universities, you also have to do the same. You have to have people with some business savvy, experience savvy, but then also some NFL experience of dealing with contracts, dealing with players, and what's right and what's wrong. Because also what you're fighting in, real quick, we got 1 more minute before we go to break, is you don't want to be that team, that university that is known for signing contracts and then trying to pull them back. And you're not to be trusted, because you end up like the Florida Gators. You end up like the Florida Gators, where people inside the NIL and collectives are being sued, and you have a black eye. You don't want to be like UNLV when you're having a magical season and your quarterback says, you know what, I'm done. Now you end up finishing up well, but that was something that overtook the good vibes at UNLV, which probably and maybe led to Barry Odom leaving to go to Purdue, even though it's a bigger opportunity. But you got Dan Mullen, but now you're a little bit short as far as being able to pay his contract. You're trying to be like Colorado and try to hope for a genie in a bottle, then you get a whole bunch of money. Well, there's only one Deion Sanders and only one Colorado. That is not how it's going to happen all the time. And so there's a ton of things that are going on, with this whole ruling. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But time will tell. The future looks bright for some teams and some players. I think a lot of players and teams are excited because they're able to maybe get some looks that they weren't able to get, and then obviously being able to build for the future. But we're going to take a quick break, come back. I'm going to put a bow on this bad boy, Jay Foreman, Old School. We'll be right back.
Now's the best time to lock in early order savings on a new John Deere planter from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Plant for success with the latest technology, including Exact Emerge high-speed planters that help you cover more acres with greater precision and productivity. Order your planter for next year now to unlock the biggest savings of the season. Contact your local Landmark location today and experience the Landmark difference.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law Group and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
Safety is always at the top of mind at Lincoln Electric System. The safety of our employees and the safety of our customers. It's National Safety Month. Visit les.com/safety for tips on all things related to electrical safety. If you're working in your yard, remember never to place landscaping structures and fences too close to above-ground electrical equipment. It's unsafe and could cost you financially. Visit les.com for a complete fence and landscaping installation guide.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Fairway has fresh cut meats, seafood, cheese, wine, and spirits, and a friendly staff that's always ready to help you find what you need. Stop by Fairway Meat Market today to plan your weekly meals in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Muchachos has been serving Lincoln delicious pork, brisket, and chicken tacos for several years now, as well as Hatchmack nachos and more. Muchachos also brings you close to the taste buds of your favorite local college athletes with NIL deals like the B3 burrito for Bella Bacon of Nebraska softball and many more. See a variety of different NIL options at Muchachos at 11th and K, or order online at yomuchacho.com. Open 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back. Quick segment, putting a bow on this bad boy for this hour. Going solo bolo. Jay Foreman, Old School, once again brought to you by the Mercado, certified Piedmontese, special grades of Butcher Shop, 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, 85th and Andremat / Old Cheney. I loved it. Right by the cyclery. They did a really good job on my bike. And then obviously the Mercado is in there. I'm picking me up a tomahawk for Sunday, Father's Day. It's going down on the grill. Also 168th and Maple up there in the O. I know people up there in the O are going to be firing up the grills and smokers. Happy Father's Day to everybody. I know you guys got to listen to my dad talking to Austin Orman on Old School earlier today. Now you got me solo bolo. And once again, this show will be played again on Inside the Honda Huddle, Sundays at 8 a.m., always all day long on the Ticket. Plus, we got plenty of stuff coming up here in the summer and through the fall with some really, really unique and serious interviews. Not serious interviews, but cool and unique interviews, and then some breakdowns coming through the Ticket 2 here, which is going to, I think kick off here pretty soon. I don't want to overstep my boundaries and, but I'm sure DP would be okay with me telling that Ticket 2 is about to take off and keep kicking butt. But that was my take on the ruling. Real quick, I think, look, I'm all for the players to get what they can get, and, my biggest thing, I want you to play good football, and because that's the biggest selling point of it all. So as long as that happens, hopefully that happens more times than not, then that's the only thing that matters. And hopefully Nebraska get back to a point to where they're not only in the conversation, but part of the conversation and getting back to dominant ways in the I guess the dominant era that they can get to, which I've always said is going to be a 2 to 4 year run, and then you got to reset and then get back into it. So, look, Father's Day is coming up here, and it's always I think Father's Day is probably one it's always one of those things that you get it, dads out go all out for other holidays, and then you just get another pack of whitey tighties back in the day or something like that, or you get a day off or something like that. But dads are always unsung heroes. Look, man, I'm gonna tell you like this. I had my dad, obviously a big influence, but I had my uncles, and then I had my grandfather, and then I had other people that were fit that role, and obviously Coach Osborne and Coach Sam and other people have done that even in my adult life. So I want to give a shout out to all the dads and people out there doing dad stuff and stepping up when they have to, because it's a selfless role, just like being a mom. But it's Father's Day, so I'm gonna hang my hat on the dads and people filling those roles. You don't have to necessarily be blood or whatever to be a dad. You just got to step up and be there when you need it, and then obviously you don't need a lot of credit. You just got to keep on pushing on. And look, you got the U.S. Open this week. I'm picking. I'm gonna pick Rory McIlroy. I think Rory. No, I'm not gonna pick Rory. I think his game is busted. I'm gonna pick this week. Scottie Scheffler, I think, is gonna win, but I'm gonna pick a guy that I think is gonna win. I think it's gonna be Justin Thomas. I think he's played like garbage his first two majors. I think he's gotten his driver going. And I think he's waiting for a breakout that right when you think he's down and out, he's going to win. Or he doesn't, or you think he's not going to win, he does win. I like his little moxie, even though he went to Alabama. Real quick, I think this game 3 is for the NBA championship, and you jump over to NBA with the Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's all going to be on the backs of Tyrese Halliburton and Siakam. Can they get started? Sometimes you with NBA players, I think when you win that game 1, you kind of take game 2 off, but you never want to just let Oklahoma City get that much confidence, because they are a problem. They're the best defensive team and the most efficient offensive team, and to be honest with you, the deepest team in the NBA. And I think you probably opened up a couple wounds there, and they've smelled some blood in the water. But Indiana is phenomenal at home. Look for Tyrese Halliburton to force the issue, which I think has been his deal all year long, not playing with force. He knows it. Rick Carlisle knows it, and look for him to get off early and often. I still think Oklahoma City is going to win, even though I think the Pacers are going to win game 4. I don't think they're going to win tonight. I think their backs are going to be against the wall in game 4. I think they'll win game 4. I don't think they're going to win tonight. So those are my predictions. Appreciate you guys listening. Jay Foreman, Old School, my man Austin on the 1s and 2s. We'll holler at you tomorrow.